Most people don't understand this about you, so let's say it clearly right away. There's nothing strange about spending years bringing a dead machine back to life. You're not stuck in the past, you're not avoiding the present, and you're definitely not wasting your time. If anything, your brain just operates on a different frequency, one that doesn't rush, one that listens, one that sees value where others only see rust. Stay with me for a moment, because what looks like a hobby on the surface is actually a quiet psychological signature. From the outside, people make easy judgments. They call it nostalgia, midlife crisis, obsession. They joke that you love metal more than people, that you'd rather talk to an engine than deal with real life. Some even see it as escapism, as if restoring an old car is a way to hide from modern chaos. But that framing misses the point entirely. Because this isn't about clinging to the past. It's about control, meaning, and coherence in a world that increasingly feels disposable. Modern culture is built on replacement. Something breaks, you toss it. Something ages, you upgrade. There's no relationship with objects anymore, just transactions. But people who restore old cars don't relate to things that way. You don't see a broken carburetor as junk. You see a story interrupted. You see a system that once worked perfectly, waiting to be understood again. Society mistakes this for stubbornness, but psychologically, it's something else entirely. It's a resistance to impermanence without meaning. At the psychological level, restoration scratches a very specific itch. Your brain is deeply sensitive to incomplete narratives. Psychologists sometimes talk about how the mind seeks closure, how unresolved loops create tension. An old car is one giant open loop. It's a puzzle with history baked into every bolt. When you work on it, you're not just fixing parts, you're resolving ambiguity. Each repair component gives your brain a small but powerful sense of order being restored. Not imagined order, real, tangible order you can touch. There's also the reward system at play, but not in the flashy dopamine spike way of modern entertainment. This is slow dopamine, earned dopamine. The kind that comes from effort, patience, and delayed gratification. When you finally hear an engine turn over after months of silence, your brain lights up differently than it would from scrolling or buying something new. It's quieter, deeper, and longer lasting. You didn't consume a reward, you created it. People often underestimate how much identity is involved here. Restoring an old car gives you a clear role in a confusing world. You're not just busy, you're a restorer, a fixer, someone who can take something non-functional and make it whole again. That identity becomes grounding, especially in a society where roles are blurry and constantly shifting. When life feels abstract, greasy hands and real tools remind you who you are. There's also a self-monitoring element that matters. Many people are highly attuned to external validation, likes, praise, trends. But car restoration doesn't offer instant applause. In fact, most of the work happens alone, unseen, uncelebrated. That attracts a certain type of mind, one that doesn't need constant witnesses to feel real, one that finds satisfaction internally, not performatively. You're not restoring for clout, you're restoring because the process itself feels honest. On the neuroscience side, people like you often show a different relationship with stress and focus. Working on an old car induces a state similar to what researchers call flow. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for overthinking and self-criticism, quiets down. Your attention narrows. Time stretches or disappears. That's not accidental. Your brain is wired to regulate itself through deep engagement with complex but solvable systems. Engines are perfect for that. They're logical but not sterile, mechanical but expressive. Studies on tactile work suggest that hands-on problem-solving can lower cortisol levels and increase feelings of agency. When you fix something physical, your nervous system gets evidence that effort leads to results. That's incredibly stabilizing, especially in a world where so many problems feel abstract and uncontrollable. You're not arguing opinions, you're aligning parts until reality responds. There's also memory encoded in the process. Old cars smell different. They sound different. They require listening, not just measuring. Your brain engages sensory processing in a richer way. That multisensory input strengthens emotional regulation and presence. It pulls you out of your head and into the moment. That's not nostalgia, that's embodiment. If you zoom out historically, people like you have always existed. In every tribe, there were individuals who maintained tools, repaired shelters, and preserved functional knowledge across generations. These weren't the loudest or flashiest members, they were the continuity keepers, the ones who ensured that hard-earned systems didn't disappear with time. Civilization didn't just advance through invention, it survived through maintenance. Restorers are the reason progress didn't reset every generation. In ancient contexts, throwing away a functional tool would have been unthinkable. Repair was survival. Today, that instinct looks outdated only because abundance hides its importance. But psychologically, the impulse hasn't disappeared. It just doesn't fit neatly into modern narratives of speed and novelty, so it gets misunderstood. Emotionally, this path can feel isolating at times. You might notice that while others chase the new, you're drawn to the overlooked. While conversations revolve around what's next, your mind lingers on what still matters. That can make you feel out of sync, like you're speaking a different language. But that doesn't mean you're disconnected. It means you're anchored differently. There's often a quiet pride here, but not the loud kind. It's the kind that doesn't need explanation. You know what it took to free that seized bolt. You remember the nights spent troubleshooting something no manual could explain. Those experiences build a private confidence, not arrogance, competence. And competence has a way of calming the soul. Of course, this way of engaging with the world isn't without trade-offs. Patience can turn into rigidity. Attention to detail can become perfectionism. It's possible to retreat too far into projects and avoid human messiness altogether. But that's not inherent to the trait, that's about balance. And deep down, you know the difference between restoration as engagement and restoration as escape.